doesn't work very well because we can't pop open a keyboard. And so we're going to try a different approach to the emoji picker where I just show a list of emojis and you can pick from it and not use the keyboard at all. So I started doing that, and while doing that decided to upgrade some of these components as I wrote them. So these components, this grid 2D component, HTML custom element. So the old one was also a custom element, but it used hyperHTML as its library. I really like hyperHTML, but lighterHTML is actually what I want. I don't need or want any of those extra features that Hyper provides. I just want the basics. I want lighterHTML. It is small, fast, and does exactly what I want. And its syntax is even easier to use than Hyper, so win all around. So I'm converting this over to lighter, and while I'm doing so, like, most of the template doesn't change, but I'm also finding that I can make simpler choices than I did the first time around. So let's get to a bug and see what's happening. Okay, cool, so I can see the grids rendering. And here we got our pieces. That looks good. All that looks great. Save that. If we try to play the game, although here, trying to play the game, we're not seeing the pieces anymore. And we can see, excuse me. We can see that the pieces are empty. Okay, so this one, yeah. So these are our three draggable, our three pieces, the inventory. And they're just getting empty grids. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this, I just had this on every time the grid was running, which is why we see it way, way too much. So first thing to get a handle on this bug is we need to limit our outputs to things that are relevant that we're going to look at. Too much noise distracts you when you're trying to debug. So this grid, right? Those are a bunch of undefines and zeros. Zeros are fine, right? Yeah. So one of the reasons this is so noisy, every time I do something here, right? Every single grid is going to set grid. And the reason that is because in my render, I'm setting the grid, and in the grid I call render. And that is cool because I can call hyperHTML, lighterHTML as many times as I want, and it only updates the DOM if there's an actual change, not just because I called it. So, and so that was like one of the things with Backbone, and you always had to be like, oh, and then you can see the things that changed when they flashed. This thing was back with the Backbone days. You had to write your own, if this property changed, then update the DOM or type stuff. Because like when we first started doing it, we just did templates and we just overwrote the inner HTML every time, and that's causes problems. Okay, so I didn't see anything weird there. And so I think maybe, let's say game at get. Let's just see what our inventory pieces are supposed to be. This is the state of the game. An inventory. Oh, look. There we go. Okay. So here we figured out our renderer is working properly, our data is wrong. So we just gotta fix the data. And this is probably because I renamed a function to what I was actually using it as. So how do we figure out, we can get rid of this console log, because okay, now we know our grid is rendering properly as we want. Every time you change it, and so like, yeah, here's the new grid class. So 27 lines of code. The old one was all of this, and they do the same thing. Maybe not. I don't know. I might still need cell size. I don't know if I do or not. The old one was just over-engineered. It did a lot more. Like the old one, you could set the grid template cell, and it would serialize the attribute and blah 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 blah. And really, I'm not using the set attribute on this. I'm calling element.grid. So my interface for my grid 2D, right? So my interface here is grid, not set attribute grid, whatever, right? The old one supported both, and I only ever use the first one, so I don't need to ever handle the second one. Cool, so let's get to our bug. So we have refill inventory, whose job is to put items in your inventory. And this had one of the functions I renamed. It's called color now. Well, it was always called color, but it had an old name on it. Okay, so we're supposed to replace the inventory items with random pieces, right? Cool. So this should be what we're doing, right? Console.log, random color. Oh, I know why. It's not because I changed the color, it's because of this. So I'm getting a sample of colors, right? Sample gets me random, I guess. Yeah, low dash sample. I forgot what sample does. I think it gives me a random set of numbers. Low dash sample. Like a random sampling. Split into. Oh no, sample. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Sample just gets a random element. Cool. And then we have random, which gets a random piece. Grid random, right? Yeah, returns a random piece. Okay. Yeah, random piece, random color. So what I was doing is getting it from colors before, but I'm not storing it there anymore. If we look at our default state, I had this colors, and I was using this different way before I did emojis. It used to support a lot more things, but it's way over engineered for what I actually do. So I just need to use emoji instead. Emoji. Time to build. And go back. And there we go. we get our next bug. Find drop position. Cannot read property. Yes. These were the other parts that I do need still on my custom component. Because my custom component has a couple APIs it exposes. So the grid, which is a setter. And so then we also needed, for our find drop position, a couple other things. So we had this grid width, grid height was being set, and crap. Oh, I bet it's calling get cell size, right? Find drop position. So find drop position. Okay, so it just gets passed to cell size. Who calls it? Drop dispatches the drop event. Default cell size and drop point. Make draggable. Okay, so this is where our drop stuff is. This is where we use Hammer to do all the drag and drop stuff. Okay, so drop point, dispatch event. Well, it's just that. Yeah, because it just dispatches the event. What part is this in? Oh, that's where I bind all my events. Here we go. So then I get the cell size. Yep, that's what I'm using. So this part I need to preserve. This API right here. This allows the drag and drop component to properly calculate the sizes, I guess. I say I guess, but I wrote it. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I had the original one grabbing the computed style on construct. That way you could always quickly get it. And so here we go. Because computed style is a live reference, which is awesome. Yep, because it's a live reference, I only need to get it once in the constructor, and it'll always be reflective of my values. And here we go. And we can get those. And let's see what happens. Refresh. So wait. Oh, because I have a breakpoint dropped. Nice. Look at that. Look at that. Refactor success. Cool. So I did a refactor. Does that actually get me closer to solving my bug? Good question. Keep playing. Ooh, what is that? That doesn't look right, huh? Oh. So, here's the next part of the bug. because I've been refactoring all of this. And the way it used to work was I was passing a class name along, and so when I wanted to do the animation, it just added the animation names in front of it, because it would become class names, and that would trigger animations. So I think we're okay with, let's save our progress, because it almost works. Progress. Cool. Yeah, so much smaller than the old one. And I'll delete this old one soon. I just want to make sure everything works before I delete it. Okay. So let's clear score blocks. Mask bonus. So how do those classes get added? That's the question, right? So it would be somewhere. Section replay. Let's just starts a new game. Drop. Right. Just updates the inventory. Update scene. Update score. Oh, maybe in my render. So here's the render. Yeah, there you go. This is what I'm doing. That way, so I have kept the animation and the reducers separate. Yay, go me. I just gotta update how this works. Because yeah, see here before, cell value. I was coming up with a cell value and doing the animation. Cool. So I just gotta update this. Because the grid's always gonna be probably use newer syntax, huh? Can see when I started this. Okay, so that will now the drop should work. We just won't get any animations at all, which is fine. So let's try to make that happen. Okay, cool. So yeah, so we got the score text, right? Oh, I can take that off. The list emoji. Oh yeah, this is way less than it used to be. So small that maybe it should be one function. Okay, so didn't clear because it was always waiting for that animation to clear. clear scored blocks. It's waiting for the action that happens after the animation. So let's go take a look at that. That's the, yeah, this is, I was trying to keep everything super decoupled here, and it just makes it look awkward. It makes it draggable. Translate drop action. Wow. I can make this easy. Grab it. I don't quite remember. Here we go. Animation finished. That's what I was looking for. It is in the, oh, it's in the render. That's why. Yeah, see, that's weird. I have to fix that someday. Cool. So, check the bonus scores. Okay, so this is how animations. My hacky animation attempt. And let's animate animation. Yeah, here's my clear animation. Super basic. And so, the thing here with the animations is, you know, I want to, there's a disconnect between animating and the actual clearing of the state, or the resetting of the state. Like use transform, React has, it's almost time to go. Yeah, you have the match was made, and so we do all the calculations to reduce, and then you have the then you want to play some animation that's going to clear the blocks, and then you clear the actual data so that the state's correct. So what does the state look like during the animation? And the case I'm trying to go is the state looks like the previous state until the animation's finished, and then it looks like the post-animation state. Oh yeah, and I'm using an older version of Animate.js, so this is back when I had to do some wrappers around the animation. Animation. And so it would run all that. That's the lens. That's the render. Oh yeah, set up and tear down animate. It's just a little wrapper. You just didn't need it. I don't think I need it in the newer Animate.js. items to start animating. So look for anybody with animate start selector on it, and then when it finds them, it sets them up for animation. Else animate for each setup, so it sets them all up. If there's any bonus animation, it creates the animation bonus. Very clear. Just a clear animation. Oh, okay. Yeah, so then it'll do the animate clear, animate bonus, and then when they're finished, it does the teardown and removes the classes. So really what I was using the classes for here was a way to pass information from the renderer, really it was a way, literally it was a way to pass information from this render to this second external animate code. That way I could, because I only wanted the animate code to be triggered on change when it was first added, when it first happens. And so here, if I that runs into the problem. If I say, I want to change the data and I want to animate, and so I could say drop the block on. I could, right now what I'm doing is I'm just keeping the state the same, running the animation. Once the animation clears, I update state. If you could do update the state right away, run the animation, and then you have the right state already. But if I did that, it would re-render, and that re-render means it would remove the elements I'm trying to animate. And so you can't do the state change before your animation is completed. You have to do it after your animation is completed. And this is very issues why I was experimenting with the promised actions idea, because then if your action is always a promise, you just, promise can do any kind of side effects you want, including animations. And that worked pretty well for the Bubble Island venture. But let's see what we can do for here. This is slightly different. And we will have to take a look at it next time. So next time, I need to get the animations working again, since I broke them so well. Alright, thank you for joining.